Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jada Blossom, and it is time for the October release hop. Hey, so I am using Jada Blossom's Gnome Peaking Stamp Set. They're a Gnome gift card slider die. They're card mat dies. They're Gnome dies. And I'm also using the Let It Snow 6-inch and 12-inch and the matching odds and ends, and the P13 stamping pad skin tones that you can get from the Jada Blossom store. So first of all, I'm going to make a shape card. So I am just quickly taking a pencil and kind of eyeballing where I need to cut with my little Fiskars trimmer. And what I'm doing is that the front of the card will be shaped and then it'll be attached to the back, which won't be. So I'm cutting it at roughly, 3.5 inches, you can see. And there we go. And then I will cut it along the card base. So what I did was I made a card base 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4.25 inches to make a side fold A2 size card so I could do this card. So I'm just going to trim right on the fold line. There we go. And now I'm going to have a card that's sort of half there. I'm using my Teflon bone folder just to flatten out the cuts. And now I went ahead and I cut out paper. This is from the 6-inch paper line from Doodlebug, Let It Snow. And I cut it out with Jada Blossom's card mat die. And I'm using some ATG tape and I'll stick that onto the back piece. So I'm just trying to get it, lined up so it's got an even border around that paper tray ink white card base. There we go. And now I'm going to add on this. This is from the Gnome gift card slider. So I cut that out of paper tray ink white cardstock. And then this pattern is actually from Doodlebug's Let It Snow 6-inch pad. Now I'm going to stick that down. Now I'm leaving that little gnome head peeking above loose, and I'm just sticking down that rectangle. So I'm lining up that rectangle so it has a nice white border around the edge. There we go. And isn't that fun? So I went ahead and I cut out that stitched rectangle that comes with the Gnome gift card slider die, and I cut it out of kind of like a gray on white paper from the Let It Snow 6-inch pad, and I'm going to stamp onto that with the Gnome Peaking Stamp Set. So it'll say Merry Christmas, and I'm using VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink and my Misty to do that. There we go. And I will put that rectangle on the inside of my card, and it'll be hidden by that flap that folds over, and I'll show you that in a minute. Next, I'm going to stamp a sentiment on the front of this little tag that came from that Gnome gift card slider die. There we go. And I cut that tag out of paper tray ink white cardstock, and then also that kind of gray on white pattern from the Let It Snow pad. And I'm planning on layering them up just so it'll be a little bit thicker. So I'm going to stamp that sentiment. Peace, what is it called? Peace, Love, and Joy. There we are. And I'm going to layer those two tags together using my Bearly Art glue. So I'm working on my Stampin' Up! Pad. I cut all my die cuts today with my Anna Griffin Mini Empress and normal Empress machine. I just love those machines. They just are the greatest. Next, I cut out the little ribbon pieces with paper tray ink white cardstock, and then these are scraps from the Seaside Summer Doodlebug pad. I didn't show you because these were just scraps, kind of like a tone-on-tone that matched with Let It Snow. The nice thing is that Doodlebug's paper, usually you can mix and match from, all their paper lines, and, you're in business. Next, I cut out the bow with paper tray ink white cardstock, and then again with pattern paper from that 6-inch Let It Snow pad. And I'm layering them up. And the reason why I'm doing this is I want some dimension to my card front, because the card front is pretty simple. So I wanted to add a little bit of dimension just with the thickness of the cardstock. So I'm just gluing this little ribbon together using my reverse tweezers. And I do weight everything down to let it dry nice and flat. There we go. And and there we are. So this is an adorable release from Jada Blossom. I know I say that all the time. I don't think they've released anything that I haven't liked. I can't even think of anything off the top of my head. So, like, it's just, they make the cutest little designs, and I thoroughly love working with all their products. So here is that inside piece. This is where you're going to write your sentiment. So I'm just lining that up on the inside so it'll be hidden by the flap or by the card front. And then I have a couple little pieces of ephemera from the Let It Snow odds and ends, and I'm going to add those. So I'm going to add this gift right on top of my sentiment, and it'll be hidden by this little gnome peeking head. Then I'm going to add this little penguin down in the lower right. There's still a lot of places to write. Remember, you could write on the white inside flap as well, if you have something more to say. Okay, so now I'm going to put together my little gnome peeking guy. And I'm going to add the little red hat. That's pattern paper from that 6-inch Let It Snow pad. There we are. And I did have someone ask me the other day about where I get my reverse tweezers. I bought a huge pack of them from Amazon. And I do have one or two from EK Success. Those are my original ones. You just keep losing them. I don't know what it is. I put them down and I can't find them. So I just like to have a bunch on the go at all times. Okay, so now I'm adding some foam strips so I can pop up the little hands that were cut from P13 Stamping Pad Skin Tones. And you can get that from the Jada Blossom store. So check out the Fun Extras spot, and usually you can get it there. And I'm popping those up on each side of the beard. I'm adding the little mustache as well. The beard and mustache was cut from Savannah Wood Grain Limba cardstock. It's just white wood grain cardstock. And I had cut it so it looks like hair vertically. That's all. And I'm using Stampin' Up! Dimensionals for all my dimension. There we go, popping up the little nose. And isn't that cute? I just think it's adorable. You got a lot of dimension. Next, I'm going to add on my little ribbons. So I'm just kind of trying to center it there. And I'm going to add on the next one. I'm using that HEG tape again. And I like to use my reverse tweezers to get my hands out of the way so I can sort of see what's going on. So now I'm going to pop on my little hand. And isn't that cute? He looks like he's holding his little, like peeking above his little gift. Just moving it over so it's a little closer to his beard. There we are. And then I will add my little bow. And like I said, this is a super fast and easy card. And I think another great use of that brand new Gnome gift card slider die. There we go. And remember, you could use that chimney add-on set and do the exact same thing. And something that I was remiss in saying earlier, that other one is not a gnome house, it's a castle, right? You could use that, you could dress up your little peeking gnome as a princess or as a knight, whatever you like, but it's actually a castle. It's not a gnome house. I don't know what I was thinking. Okay, so now I'm layering up my little tag. And what I decided to do was I layered up 2 more Papertrink white tags, and then I'm cutting a spot in the middle so I can build up the top and the bottom of the tag, and then the middle part of the tag will straddle that ribbon, just so it doesn't dip and it stays nice and flat. So I'm just lining them up. I could have used some foam tape in there or something, but I decided to go with this. So that way everything will stay nice and flat and sturdy. And there we are. And then I'm going to add my glue. And then I'll add it to the front of my card base. There we go on the right. And there we have it. And I'll weight it down. So I'm pulling out the Gnome Dies Christmas add-ons just for the tiny little puff or pom-pom for the top of his hat. That's it. I cut it out twice out of Papertrink cardstock, and then I'm going to pop it on top of his little hat. He kind of looks like Santa, right? So I'm going to add that on, and then I will weight it down with an acrylic block. as usual. Now I'm pulling out some shape sprinkles from Doodlebug. These are called Heart Attack, but you could use whatever shape sprinkles you want from Doodlebug if you're using Doodlebug paper, right? They all match. So I'm adding 3 in the upper left. There we go. And then I'll add 2 in the lower right. You can see them in real life better than you can see them on the, on the video. They just add a little bit of shine. There we go. And isn't that the cutest thing? I'm going to pull out my Sakura White Jelly Roll pen in a number 10 and add a few little freckles and highlights. There we are. And then I'm going to pull out my black glaze pen, and I'm just going to add a bit of that to the eyes just to make them shiny. It kind of gives them a bit of dimension, makes it look a little bit more special. And you do have to let that dry. And I'm going to grab one last little heart. This will be a teal one, just to cover up that hole in the tag. And now my card is finished. So thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to hop on over to the Jada Blossom blog, Be Inspired by the Team, and go on our hop, the Jada Blossom store, to get your hands on this amazing release. And thank you as always for watching my videos. I really appreciate it. Make sure you're a follower over at the Jada Blossom YouTube site and the Leanne K YouTube site. Bye, everybody.